there, it's Jennifer with Scraps of Life, and welcome back to my channel. Hey, how you doing? Today is Sunday, February 7th, this is I always get this mixed up. I think this is the week 5 update. I should probably make notes for myself, but oh well. So, as you can see behind me, the blanket, it's finished. Yay! And it actually is very cozy, and I might actually keep it down here in the playroom, what I call my office these days. You know, just to keep on my little sofa down here for when I'm watching TV and while it's still chilly and stuff. For those of you who don't know, I live in a rather old home. The house is at least 111 years old, according to the official county property records. But I have evidence that puts the same owners on this property at least back to 1904, which at this point would make it 117 years old. I don't know. Once you get past 100, until you get to those other big milestones, it doesn't really matter. But suffice it to say, we live in an old home. The part that is my office is part of the original house. There have been some updates over time, some additions, and as such, it's a little drafty at times. We do have a plan to insulate the floor a bit better, because that is the big problem in this particular room, is that the floorboards are all that's there. And our lot kind of slopes like this, so the house sits up like this, and so there's these big air gaps, and there it's on pilings in the back, and so there's probably about 2 to 3 feet of open air underneath the floorboards of my office. And the floorboards are these wonderful old original, you know, pine floors, but they have some little gaps in them, and some of them not so little. And air comes through. So I have a rug down on the main open section and a couple other places, but there'll be times that I'll be sitting like at my computer desk or something, which is on the other side of where I'm filming right now. And yeah, I'll have to put some extra a blanket over my feet, or an extra like little rug or something down on the floor to keep my tootsies warm. So, you know, and I've got a heater vent in here. It's not that, it's just, it's drafty. It's an old home. It is what it is. And of course, this wall is nice and insulated because of all my stuff. That's another reason why I have the blanket behind me, is I figured it might have made a nicer backdrop for a little while. Rather than the cluttered shelves. So we'll try that out. Maybe, you know, I think it is actually working, so maybe I'll put something up a little more regularly to create a nicer background. I don't know. Life is life. My shelves are cluttered. I recently saw something about, you know, the cottagecore aesthetic, which, oh, it's charming. It's a little too twee for me, too sweet, too something for me, but I get it. I understand the appeal. Something's come out recently, it's called cluttercore, and I'm like, yeah, that might be closer to my aesthetic. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so, of course, the big news as far as creativity goes is that I finished the blanket this weekend, including all of the weaving in of the ends. I think I finished the weaving ends on Tuesday, which was a little earlier than I expected, because I thought it was going to be horrible, because when you're working with all of these different colors, round after round after round, it means a lot of literal loose ends. But the great thing about crocheting, one of the fabulous facets of crocheting, especially in certain patterns where they're pretty tight together, you can trap the tails of the previous color under the new row, and kind of, it's not officially weaving them in. Some people think that you know, you also have to that it's not as secure. But in a project like this, I'm not going to quibble over it. If it's a garment that's going to get a lot more wear and tear, I might be a little bit more concerned with it. But for a blanket, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Whatever gets the job done. But there were some squares that had a fair amount of weaving in to do, and of course along the edges and the borders and stuff where everything was joined, there was some work to be done. There was some work to be done, and I thought it was going to take me ages, but I ended up watching Sound of Music Tuesday night, I think it was. And in that 3 hours, have you thought about the fact that Sound of Music is a 3-hour movie? Anyway, I got it done before that movie was over. So I was like, oh, okay, we're good. Speaking of Sound of Music, who else didn't realize that Christopher Plummer, who passed away at, I think, 91 this week, who else didn't realize that he was Captain Von Trapp? Who else thought that Christopher Plummer was the stately older gentleman with the white hair and just didn't conceptualize him as a younger man? Just me? Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, I totally didn't get that. But it was a little, it's like, wow, wait, we just watched him. We didn't realize it was him, but we just watched him. Okay. The weird thing is that a few weeks ago, Cloris Leachman passed away. Not someone else I routinely see in shows or movies, but I'd been watching the Herbie movies, the original Herbie movies, on Disney Plus, which, yes, I am a fan. And she is in Herbie Goes Bananas, which is the last of the original 4 movies, I guess you'd say. And, ooh, that movie, I don't recommend that movie, actually. I mean, her performance was the best, but that's not saying a lot, because that movie was a hot mess. Oh, that was, no. Anyway, but I had just watched that over the weekend that preceded her passing, and so I'm like, I'm a little scared, I admit, to about, what movie I might pick to watch this week, and, I'm like, I'm not saying, there's certainly not causation, because, no. Correlation, that's thin ice, but premonition? Are my movie choices right now premonitory? Is that a word? I don't know, but if it happens again, we're definitely into the do-do-do-do-do-do-do territory. But anyway, so back to creativity, which, I mean, movie making is creative. I don't do it, but I enjoy it, and some could say that that's just as creative. In order for there to be art, big A, little a, what have you, there have to be people to enjoy it, because art, in its larger conceptual style, is a conversation. Now, that does not mean that just because your art isn't seen, well, actually, I take that back. There is a conversation. There are many, many conversations and arguments about whether art fulfills its purpose without it being displayed, without it being shared, without it being seen. Because on the philosophical level, art is a way to communicate. It's a way for the artist, the creator, to communicate their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas to an audience. And then the audience, by seeing it and taking it in, interpreting it, they are the ask and answer, the call and response, the two sides of the conversation. And so without the audience, without a spectator, an onlooker, an appreciator, is art actually art? That's a little heavy for 3 o'clock on the Sunday afternoon, so I'm just going to leave it with, I don't know. But I do know that when I was wrestling with the concept of returning to my creative self, returning to my creative practice, part of that practice has always been sharing in one way or another, whether it was direct with a friend, hey, I made this for you, or you know, working on something and other people see it and we talk about it or whatever, whether it was teaching other people how to do it directly or indirectly. My blog was always about sharing what I'd been up to, working with the brands that I would work with, you know, in the past. Again, we're promoting their product. We are a form of their advertising, but at the same time, we're also sharing what we can do with those products and sharing creativity and exposing other people to ideas and concepts. It was part of the process. And so that's why I knew that coming back and creating videos, that had become part of my process before things went pear-shaped back in 2019. Yeah, so it does bear mentioning that the sharing for me is just as big a part of the creating, the actual doing something. At the same time, I saw a video this week. It was on TikTok, and it was an artist that I'd recently started following, and she posed the question, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't think to look it up exactly before I started this video, and I'm not going to pause it or anything. She posed the question of, two artists, if you knew absolutely no one was going to buy it, what would you make? Like, freed of the constraints of production and consumerism and having to sell your work to live or what have you, free of those things about the market and then this and that, what would you create? And her follow-up to that, the reason for asking, was that maybe that's the exact thing that you need to be putting out into the world. I don't have a single answer. I don't know what my answer is to that. Although I do pose it to anyone watching this. And just because, and we're not talking just, capital A art. We are talking about anything. Whatever your thing is, even if it doesn't seem creative, chances are it is. Some people would answer that question and they're like, well, I wouldn't make anything, I just it's the same thing as like, if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you spend your days on? Some people's, their legit answer would be, I'd spend it laying on the beach every day in Mexico. Fair enough. Can you fault them? I don't understand the ability to only relax. I have to always be doing something. So I kind of admire people who can just, it's oh yeah, no, it's like the people who retire and actually retire and they just enjoy. They just enjoy their time. They enjoy whatever they're doing. And it's like, hey, more power to you. I don't know that I could. I always have to be doing something. And of course, now I know that has a lot to do with my ADHD and my brain seeking dopamine by doing things that are going to produce that in my brain. It wants the new, the shiny, the this, the that, what's next. It wants all that. But just because I know what it is, it doesn't change the fact. Unlike it's not a problem that, oh, now that I understand why I'm doing this, I can solve it. No, 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 no. This is not something that is solvable. This is oh, okay, I understand why I'm craving this new stimulation, or this different stimulation from, yesterday or 2 hours ago. It just means that I understand it, and rather than beating myself up for being flighty or unable to settle on one thing, I understand that this is how my brain works and how my brain, and therefore my body, myself, my entire self, needs to operate. So yeah, I don't have one answer for that question. I have some thoughts, and I've been thinking kind of about what I wanted to do back when I was in high school, and I thought about, when I was thinking about careers and stuff, what I wanted to do. Sorry, hair, my lipstick. Did you know, and probably I'd say, I don't know if I've ever told anybody this that didn't know me back in high school, and I don't think any of y'all are watching this, and even if you did, you may not have been one of the few people that might have known about this, but anyway, I digress. I actually wanted to be a designer for Boyd's Bears. Now Boyd's Bears, I think, has ceased production in the last, I don't know, 5 years, something like that. But anyway, they made these adorable bears, I guess, and other, did they do other animals? Did they do like bunnies and other things? I think so, but it's been so long. It's been so long, guys. But at the time, I knew them as creating these adorable bears, and bears were my thing back then. Now it's monkeys. And they would have themes. I mean, they had like normal ones, like just cute bears, but they would have themes, and they'd have little costumes or accessories, and some of them would be kind of punny, or the other option that I was totally on board with was the Vermont teddy bear, which is still in operation. I have a Vermont teddy bear. It was my chef bear. I got that. I gifted it to myself when I graduated culinary school back in 2000. Gosh, that was 20 years ago, folks. That was 20 years ago. Anyway, but yeah, these companies that created these cute, cuddly things with these cute, funny, punny themes. And I had drawings, I had sketches. I even tried to sew some costumes for one at some point. I looked at art colleges. Didn't happen. Because practicality had to win out. When you grow up without much, we'll just say, when you grow up kind of hand to mouth, with a single parent working paycheck to paycheck, no room for extras, or very little room for extras. I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't the worst there's ever been, but we knew that, we were not doing well. When you grow up that way, you learn, stated or otherwise. It's not like anyone told me, no, you can't do this, but somehow, no, you can't do this. And so while I looked at like Ringling College, or SCAD, or different colleges with amazing art programs, and I ordered the catalogs. It was not really an option. Not really. No. What I ended up doing was going to community college, kind of towards like a business certificate. Ended up eventually getting my AA. Didn't go on to a 4-year degree because by that point I'd gotten married and divorced and married again. I had my culinary degree by then, but that didn't pay the bills, and it's a whole thing, folks. It's a whole thing. I was just getting to the point, though, of saying, you know what? I want to go back to this original goal. I want to go to art school. Now, I was living in Tallahassee, and FSU has a very good studio art program. At the time, I don't know if it's still the case, but at the time they did not offer evening classes. They did not offer online classes. For the majority of it, it was daytime only. You kind of had to be a full-time student, or at least close enough to it. And I had just said, hey, I told my boss even that I'm like, I thought about getting my accounting degree because that is what I do during the day. I'm a bookkeeper. Thought about getting my accounting degree, but no, there are that's a slow form of torture and stuff. No, that's not what I want to do. And so my plan had been to kind of transition out of working as a bookkeeper, and go back to school full-time for studio art. And then I got divorced again. Yeah, and then, it was up to me to support myself, and so I stayed. Again, I stayed put. I stayed doing what I was doing. But that's what, but at that point, I said, okay, well, I'm going to do what I can anyway. And I started to write my first webcomic, and then I started another webcomic, and then I wrote my book. And it's not like I didn't do things, but it's always kind of been a sideline. Where am I going with this? Oh, right. Rabbit trails, folks. Rabbit trails. So, yeah, so that's the thinking. That's the line of thought that one artist question brought to my mind. And I'm turning it over and I'm thinking, okay, what do I want my life to be? I will be 45 this year, folks. I've been a bookkeeper for 25 of those years. What do I want the rest of my life to be? It's a big question. And I don't have the answer just yet. I'm working it out. But it is something I'm thinking about. And so to you, I pose the same question, the same thought process. Is there something in your life you've always wanted to do or you used to want to do that maybe bears re-examining, Now, if you're 60 years old and you wanted to be an astronaut as a child, that might not be as feasible. I mean, sometimes, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a fireman. Sometimes those childhood goals, and I want to say, for the record, my Boyd's Bear thing, that was a high school, so that was a teenage goal. It wasn't a child goal. But it doesn't matter. In middle school, I wanted to be a lawyer. But gosh, I'm glad I didn't go there. I hate having to argue. I would hate my life if I'd actually gone through and gone to law school. Why? I mean, I know why I thought, but anyway, no. So some things are not necessarily attainable, but maybe there is a way to incorporate those desires, dreams, and goals into your life. And what does this have to do with creativity? Even if you didn't want to be an artist when you were younger, what does this have to do with creativity? I will tell you, because every day we are creating, underline that word, creating the life we want to have. In some way, shape, or form, we are responsible for creating the life we want to have. So, back on topic a little bit, I kind of strayed a bit. I knew from the beginning when I restarted these videos that this was going to be a bit stream of consciousness, and it was just going to be the way it was going to be. So I hope that's okay with you. If not, well, then maybe my videos aren't going to be for you. I'm not going to change what I'm doing for someone else. At this point, in time, I am doing this more for myself, and hopefully the people that need it or can benefit from it or appreciate it, they will find it. The rest, there's something else out there for you, okay? That's just the way it is, folks. It is. It's just... Anyway, so back to the topic of daily creativity, however. Going back from, from the forest to the tree, the day-to-day creativity. So yes, I finished this on Tuesday. And so what did I do after that? I started creating my plan for this year's gardening project. And I realized that I left some props on other tables. So I'm gonna go grab those. Be right back. So I'd shown you, a previous week, the seed catalog with all the sticky notes in them. Well, it came time this week, once I had completed this blanket, to take the wish list and kind of try and organize it a bit. This is my gardening journal. I started it last year, taking notes about the garden tower that Todd had gotten me, and I'm kind of doing it bullet journal style. And this journal actually is from my local yarn shop, and it has the fuzzy goat, and it has their little goat on the front. It says, "Make your next adventure." And it is one of these lovely dot grid notebooks, and it's so nice. It really has worked really well for starting this, but I can paste things in that I find online, make my notes, and kind of do calculations on supplies and sizes and what I'm looking for. And I even, for a little bit, tried to kind of keep a calendar going here, let's put it right side up, which is the right side. I'm kind of looking at this backwards and so forth. But yeah, I was trying to keep a calendar of, when I'd watered, and when I'd rotated, and the weather and so on and so forth. That kind of fizzled as the year got hectic, and I was just like, nah. Like by May, it was like, yeah, no, that happened. But that's okay. That's okay. It's a process, folks. It's a process. So in my journal, I took all those sticky tabs that I put in, and I made lists of the different things that I'd marked that I wanted to grow. And then I created a little drawing of my backyard. And right now, this right here is the garden tower as it is. The rest of it is what I'm hoping to put in over the course of this year, and I've got some notes for next year. Like, this is like a year 3. I want some raised beds along this side of the yard for larger crops. Maybe even try and grow some corn. I don't know. This here, though, I want to put in some fruit trees. I want some like oranges, lemons, a fig tree, an olive tree, maybe a peach tree, because this is Georgia. I don't know, I'm still figuring out everything, but yeah, I want kind of like a little semicircle of trees here and a little seating area in front of it so that I can kind of look back towards, this is the house area up here. We are fortunate to have a third of an acre. The house came on a 1/3 acre lot, and it is a narrow lot. It's like 70 feet across. The house is in like the first third, and then it's like 200 and some odd feet deep. So we have this narrow strip of, but it works out really well because it gives us this nice deep backyard to be able to make space for things. And we had a shed in the backyard that we put up shortly after we moved in to house, equipment and stuff, lawn equipment. That got taken out when Hurricane Michael came through and a tree fell and crushed it. So oops. And so that stuff has been living on our porch, back porch and front porch since then. Oh, it's not exactly what I wanted those areas to look like, but you work around it. And yeah, it's been a couple years at this point. But Todd has been solidifying his plans for replacing that shed. We've been meaning to the whole time, but that's like, okay, do we get the same shed? If so, why don't we do a concrete pad instead of the wooden pad that the wooden support floor we'd done before, and this, that, whatever. And it's evolved over time the way projects can do. But he's kind of set on where it's going to be, and that's going to happen once something else happens this week. Ooh, for those of you who have been with this channel since the Gingerbread Diaries days, for those who haven't, that was the videos I would do of when we bought this house and we're first trying to, I don't know, triage it to begin with. And then we started a renovation of the downstairs bathroom 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. That's what I said. Or wait. Oh my gosh, it was almost 5 years ago, because it was, the goal was to have it done before Todd's 50th birthday party, and it was workable. It's been in a workable state since then, but oh yeah, oh my gosh, 5 years ago. Ooh. Anyway, it's been a while. But the reason why it was held up is because we got a frickin' roof leak. Anyway, those of you who were with us when we bought the house, and we had the roof replaced when we bought the house. It was a condition of making it insurable, and we had to take out a renovation loan on top of the, as part of the mortgage to get it done, among other things. Well, we've been in the house since 2014, right? Yeah. So almost 7 years. The roof is being replaced this Wednesday. Yep, completely new roof. We tried to see if there was anything the insurance would cover on it. No, because it was not storm damage. It was not wind damage, even though no, it was the fact that our contractor sucked. But even saying that, and this is something we knew, even saying that, the circumstances under which we bought the house, the timing, the this, the that, the everything else, we know and acknowledge that had we not had at least this contractor, as sucky as he turned out to be, we would not have gotten the house. And ultimately, we deal with it. So yeah, we're having the roof completely replaced this Wednesday. And in doing so, we will then be able to finish the blasted bathroom renovation and actually start to move forward with other projects. So that's really cool, and looking forward to that. Anyway, so yeah, the garden thing, or the backyard thing. So the shed's coming. We also want to fence in the backyard, both for privacy and to have more room for Duncan. And we, there's a whole driveway project with that, that may or may not happen because we got to get approval from the city and whatnot. We got plans. Yeah. So anyway, but that's the garden plan, the backyard plan, and I'm, so I've been working on both the showable stuff, as well as the rest of the week I spent working on spreadsheets. And you might not find spreadsheets very creative or alluring, but it is part of creating the backyard garden that I want. It is part of creating the life that I want, because I want to be able to produce more this year. I want to be able to maybe even like preserve or can or dry some foodstuffs to have a little bit of food stores, and this is something that I want. It is something I want to create, and so this is my creative outlet this week. But I also, because that wasn't really easy to work on Friday night when we're sitting there catching up with our TV shows, which right now is like The Stand. That's the only one we had this week. But anyway, we catch up on our shows, our Friday night date night. Sometimes we actually do go out, but especially right now, it's COVID, folks. I mean, we're staying home. So it's Friday night date night is TV time usually. And yeah, so I made another little Christmas ball. Now this one isn't stuffed yet. This is number 3, the mutton pattern from Arnie and Carlos's 2020 thing. And I'm getting a little blinky thing on... Oh, okay. I got 4 minutes left. Ooh, okay. I got to wrap this up because my my memory card is apparently filling up. So, all right, let's get this. We're almost done. We're almost done, folks. So anyway, I knit this Friday night. It is a single night project. And so now I've realized that, you know what? If I knit one of these every week, I will have like 4 dozen Christmas balls ready by the end of the year, some of which I will keep, some of which I will give away, and that makes me happy. So that's become my Friday night project, and I'm talking really fast because it's literally counting down on the video screen. Okay, so thank you so much for coming by, checking in with me on week 5. I'd love to see what you're up to. Again, tag any posts that you are making with return to creativity, and because I do kind of look around to see if anybody else is posting. You can find my posts that way. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. The links are down below. I should probably go ahead and add my TikTok because I do occasionally make videos over there too. Just cute little quick things. I've got some ideas for those. Anyway, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a creative week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.